Good morning. Good morning. I want to thank all of you for allowing me to join you through this electronic medium, as I was so disappointed not to be able to be there in person. My daughter is expecting a baby, and her due date just happens to be March 23rd. So I could not figure out how I could be in two places at once, and the new and first grandchild took precedence. Nevertheless, this meeting is of the highest priority in my mind, and being able to be part of it in this way is some small compensation. I know my larger reward will be in learning from your reports and articles how these challenging issues are handled in each of your countries and how we can work together to develop some new approaches and policies that will work even better for all of us. I want to begin by thanking Dr. Marisi Narad and her colleagues at the University of Washington and her wonderful partners in Germany, Dr. Barbara Kem and colleagues, for organizing this very important meeting. I want to add my thanks to Dr. Bianca Bernstein, professor and former dean of the graduate school from Arizona State University, for beginning NSF's funding of these important conversations, while division director of the Division of Graduate Education, and for continuing to participate as a discussant and writer. I do not know the complete and personal histories of the rest of this august group assembled there in Kassel, but I want to thank each of you for giving this meeting your time and priority. The topics could not be more important, and given our current world situation, are critical to the future of science and the well-being of all of our countries and actually all living things. Secondly, I want to tell you why NSF, and in particular, the Directorate of Education and Human Resources, where I work, was interested in supporting these three workshops. From the very first workshop, I have been impressed by Dr. Marisi Narad's determination to make this meeting not just about the U.S., but rather about creating a global network that could move beyond the "in my country" syndrome to one of tackling the critically important issues in graduate education of diversity, brain circulation, and risk-taking on a global level. This is critically important if we are to find new ways to challenge the status quo and to work productively together. These are challenging times with the stark economic downturn, global warming, and continuing difficult hotspots that defy simple solutions, but that require our combined wisdom. I know that as the week transpires, you will be talking about common problems, some solutions, policies, and programs that are directed at the issues of your meeting, and most importantly, learning from each other about your perspectives, sharing data and policies, and presenting different ways of addressing common topics in order to learn from one another, and offering alternative pathways to commonly held issues. Therefore, I thought it might be helpful if I shared some perspective and history of the National Science Foundation in regard to these issues and how they are being handled now. Further, I want to preview now for you the arrival later today of my colleague, Dr. James Weich, NSF Division Director for the Human Resources Division, who will share with you his broad experience as a scientist and on the topic of diversity, as well as information about the programs that are part of NSF's major diversity initiatives. I would like to begin by telling you a story which has relevance to a consideration of policies directed at bringing the most talented, regardless of race and gender, individuals into science. I have been sharing it with reviewers of applications for NSF's major fellowship program, which supports young scholars and was begun at the same time as the foundation itself. Interestingly, the idea of the foundation first came to President Franklin Roosevelt in 1944 toward the end of World War II. In a fascinating letter to then Director of War Research Efforts, Dr. Vannevar Bush, Roosevelt asked Bush to begin to think about turning the war research machine into a powerful tool for peace and research on important areas that would help the United States and all of humanity solve some of the health and survival issues of the time. He wrote to Bush as follows: Dear Dr. Bush, the Office of Scientific Research and Development, of which you are the director, represents a unique experiment of teamwork and cooperation in coordinating scientific research and in applying existing scientific knowledge to the solution of the technical problems paramount in war. There is, however, no reason why the lessons to be found in this experiment cannot be profitably employed in times of peace. The information, the techniques, and the research experience developed by the Office of Scientific Research and Development and by the thousands of scientists in the universities and in private sector should be used in the days of peace ahead for the improvement of national health, the creation of new enterprises, bringing new jobs, and the betterment of the national standard of living.